Hello everyone, welcome to the Jewish Week Online. We're here at the Jewish Funk team at the Taking Back Zionism event in New York City. This event is sponsored by the Birthright Israel Alumni Community. What is Zionism? It's complicated. Sometimes you really cannot explain what it means to you. Let's hear from some people and their perspectives on Zionism. What is your definition of Zionism?
Zionism is that all Jews should live in Israel? Isn't that what it is?
It's whatever you want.
I think that's what it is. It's Jewish self-determination, right?
All right. What about yourself?
To me, Zionism would be standing your ground, especially for people who have been pushed around and forced out of nearly every country in the world at some point in history. To me, Zionism is realizing that you're not the bad guy, you're not the enemy. Israel is one of the most humane countries in the world with one of the most humane armies, and they should stay that way despite what uneducated people have to say about it.
What is your definition of Zionism?
I think it's simply just our combined love of Israel and the feeling and the spiritual wholeness we feel when we're there.
What is your definition of Zionism?
I think just being a Jew and loving Israel.
I actually don't have a definition of Zionism. I think it means different things for different people. For some, it's the heritage, the history of our people. For some, it's the Torah. For some, it's multicultural. It's an evolving concept.
What is Zionism? What is the definition of Zionism?
Representing the true Israel.
Zionism is a word that defines what young people should do and the way they should think to support Israel and to keep the Jewish faith alive.
Thank you so much. What is your definition of Zionism?
There's not one definition of Zionism. It's personal.
It's believing in the state of Israel and doing everything you can to make it still exist and being proud.
A passion for Israel and the desire to go back.
What is your definition of Zionism?
My definition of Zionism is to take back Judaism.
What's your definition?
Supporting Israel.
My definition of Zionism is an unconditional love for the Holy Land.
My interpretation is that it's part of the soul of Judaism is Zionism, and that I always am reminded of the prayer, if I forget thee, O Jerusalem. So, in a way, Zionism much later picked up from that due to the circumstances in Europe. So it is very much at the heart of our faith.
Zionism is commitment, compassion, and dedication.
Delighted to be speaking to you this evening from Washington. Who can forget their first visit to Israel? I can't. It's almost frightening for me to admit it now. About 40 years ago. But I'll never forget that moment, walking down that street and seeing the cab drivers, the policemen directing traffic, the young soldiers, men and women, and thinking they're all part of my people, of our people. Of seeing the signs in Hebrew, listening to the Israeli rock music. What an extraordinary event. It's really been one of the most memorable moments of my entire life. Israel back then was going through a very hard time. We were at war with Egypt, with Jordan. We faced not only a very hostile Arab world, but the Soviet Union and allied countries whose hostility to Israel almost rivaled those of the Arabs. China was an enemy state. India was a very unfriendly state. And though there were strong connections, spiritual and democratic, with the United States of America, there was, as of yet, no great strategic alliance between the United States and the Jewish state. And yet here is this young country, so full of energy, so full of hope, so full of vitality. It influenced the course of the rest of my life. Now, I came from a suburban Jewish home, probably much like so many of yours, with a modicum of Jewish education, a little bit of knowledge of Jewish history. But I was keenly aware growing up, in the aftermath of the Holocaust, of the foundation of Israel, and of the 1967 Six-Day War, I was keenly aware that I was living at a unique moment in Jewish history, that I was living at a time that my grandparents, my great-grandparents, generations of my forebears could scarcely have dreamed about. I was living at a time where there was a sovereign, independent, proud, and vital Jewish state in our historic homeland, the land of Israel.
What is the definition of Zionism?
Well, it's the Jewish people taking responsibility for its own life, its own destiny. Undoubtedly the most successful national movement of the 20th century.
And you know, looking around now, there's a lot of Zionists partying. Birthright Israel, Taglit-Birthright Israel has been doing a tremendous amount. Over 230,000 people have already gone. Where do you see it going, and how do you think the Israeli government is going to continue to support?
Well, first of all, we should continue the support for Birthright. To my mind, Birthright is probably the most important thing that is happening today in Jewish life. For one simple reason, Birthright is virtually changing the conversation that takes place about Israel these days. The people that come back from Birthright know that there's more to Israel than just the dispute with its neighbors, that Israel represents many things to many people, that Israel can be relevant to them. One of the areas where we're lacking today, Israel is not being perceived as a relevant place for younger Jews in the United States, in Europe, and elsewhere. But we know that Israel has a very appealing and very compelling story to tell younger people all over the world, Jews and non-Jews. Birthright is helping us, changing that perception. And I think today, Birthright is the #1 change agent that Israel has worldwide.
Great. Well, thanks so much. Well, came out tonight in support of Israel and Zionism. What is your definition of Zionism?
No, that's a very good question. You heard a definition from Michael Oren, and that was a good definition. My definition is Zionism is a commitment to the Jewish future, and probably a commitment to Israel as a central aspect of that Jewish future.
And I've staffed 11 Taglit-Birthright Israel trips, and you have been you were the founder of this incredible program. What do you look to see in the next 10 years?
I hope that we can deepen the understanding of Birthright participants beyond just the trip itself, so that we build real Jews from Birthright participants. Because many of them go on Birthright with very little Jewish background. And my hope is that somehow, some way, Birthright will inspire them to understand the deeper meaning of being Jewish.
And you've been a proponent of follow-up, and just seeing tonight.
What is this?
What do you think? What is the best thing? What's been like the inspiration for you to continue this project?
My commitment to the Jewish future, because I think the Jewish future has to be an awful lot better than the Jewish present, particularly in the diaspora, which is, I think, a weak present.
Great. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
As you can see, it was a fantastic event. A lot of interesting perspectives on what Zionism means to each individual. This is Aaron Herman, and thanks for watching.